Well, friends, once again, I welcome you all on this virtual platform. So, friends, uh, in lecture number two, I gave you the outline about operators and I have explained what are linear operators. And I said that linear operators are very important in quantum mechanics. Operators are basically a mathematical actions on functions which produces the new functions. This is we have discussed, and they are basically defined as a rule by which a different function is obtained from any given function. So last time we have studied the linear operators, and before we proceed further to study today about the Hermitian operators, let us revise the rule for linear operator which I have already mentioned. So these are the three rules. This rule number one, a linear operator A with an head. This is the symbol of an operator A operates on the operand. You see C1 F1 of X plus C2 F2 of X, where C1 is constant. So if this operator operates, you get a new function C1 operator A operating on F1 of X plus C2 operator A operating on F2 of X. These two sides should be equal. Similarly, if C1 and C2 is equal to 1, you may write A operating on F1 of X plus F2 of X. You can write A operator operating on F1 of X plus A operating on F2 of X, and this is already known to you, which we have already used in rule number one. Well, this is now very simple and you know this. Now let us try to understand a very important operator in quantum mechanics, and it is very useful to understand some concepts of quantum mechanics using Hermitian operator. So I would like to define first the Hermitian operators, friends. Consider that you have two arbitrary wave functions psi m of x. Here I write the psi m of x. X is the argument, is one dimension, and psi of psi n of x. You see here the subscript m, and here you see the subscript n. There were two arbitrary wave function, and I have a definition which I would like to discuss here. That the operator A, sometime you can keep a with a hat or a caret. It is optional. So the operator A is said to be Hermitian. When it is said to be Hermitian, then here the equation number one which I wrote, let me explain the interpretation of equation number one. See, I wrote a bracket notation. This is known as a bracket notation. We will study Bray and Cat notation when we study wave function as a vector. But right now I am using the bracket notation. This bracket notation represent the scalar product between the two wave functions which I mentioned, psi m with a psi n, where your A is your operator and A is considered to be Hermitian. So when you take a scalar product of psi m with A psi n, A psi n, A operating on psi n, you can say, can be written as scalar product of A psi m. Look at that, this is the combined A psi m comma psi n. and this is nothing but it is a complex conjugate of a scalar product of psi n with a psi n. So here you see your operator A is associated with the second wave function psi n, and here your operator A is associated with the first wave function psi n. So when this condition is satisfied, you can say that operator A is the Hermitian operator. Now you can write this bracket notation in the integral form, because I have already explained you that if you have a scalar product of two eigenfunctions, and let us say wave functions psi m and psi n, can be defined as integration of minus infinite to plus infinite psi m star psi n dx. This is the definition which we have studied, and you have used this definition in second year BSc also, right? You have studied Ehrenfest theorem, and you have used the scalar product of the two eigenfunctions. So with this notation, this is the known as integral form of scalar product. This is known as integral form of scalar product. This is known as bracket form of a scalar product. And now we can write here. So this bracket notation is now is converted into the integral form. So you have a psi m star, then a psi n is a combined unit. So I write a psi n dx. So this I'm writing here. Okay, fine. And now you have the scalar product of a psi m with psi n. So this, using this definition, we can write a psi m whole star. You see, I put a parenthesis, a combined unit, I put a star here. And then you see psi n, I'm keeping psi n as it's psi n dx. Okay. So now you see this, the entire equation with the equation which is mentioned here, which is mentioned in the bracket notation, can be converted into the integral form. So you look at this integral form. So this is psi m a psi n. This notation is written as psi m star psi m star a psi n dx. This is the scalar product of a psi m with psi n. So I write down a psi m. So I write down a psi m star. Then I have a psi n. So you can see psi n dx. And you see this term here. This term is here, psi n a psi m. And you take the scalar product of psi n with a psi m, and you have to take the complex conjugate of the entire scalar product. So here you see I wrote first a square bracket. I converted this bracket notation into the integral form because psi n. So I write down psi n star. This is a psi m. So I write down a psi m, and I put this bracket, and over this bracket I put a complex conjugate because it is a complex conjugate of the scalar product with psi n with e psi m. So friend, this is the definition of the Hermitian operator, and similarly we can define anti-Hermitian. If psi m a psi n, that is a scalar product of psi n with a psi n, is minus sign, is minus of a psi m psi n equal to minus of this. So you see I can write down this equation in this form. So if it is not minus, if it is positive, then A is a Hermitian. If it is negative here, then A is anti-Hermitian. So this product, this is a scalar product of psi m with A psi n. Is written as minus sign A psi m psi n. Suppose if I remove this minus sign from both of them side, and then this is nothing but it is a Hermitian operator. So here also the same definition, we put a minus sign psi n A psi m star. So this is the definition of the Hermitian operator in quantum mechanics. And now we want to go for a important term which we will define, uh, right? This is also known as Hermitian adjoint, and that is also I would like to define today. First we will take the definitions and then we will apply uh, the definition to understand some properties of Hermitian operators. You see, the what define what do you mean by a Hermitian adjoint operator? So let us consider a two wave functions. I consider psi m of x and I consider psi n of x, right, of an operator. And don't consider that A operator A is a Hermitian first. So if n of A is an operator, in general A is an operator, then you can write the scalar product of psi m with A psi n is not equal to scalar product of A psi m with psi m. If A would have been a Hermitian operator, then you have an equality sign will appear. Because here I have considered an ordinary operators. So if it is an ordinary operator, then these scalar products are not equal. But say it is possible to find another operator B, some operator B, such that instead of, suppose this equation is not satisfied, but you may have some operator B in quantum mechanics, let's say psi m comma B psi n. So here this operator A is replaced by operator B, and for this operator B, if you get this term, this is equal to the scalar product of A psi m psi n. See, if there is an operator A, you are not getting equal to the scalar product equal to A psi m psi n. Scalar product will give you some number. So here also you see you will get some number, but if there is an operator B, you get the number is equal to the A psi m psi n. So look at this equation 3. Equation 3 is basically where operator B, moment you put operator B, and if you take a scalar product of psi m with p psi n, and if you get this scalar product equal to A psi m scalar product of A psi m psi n, then you can say that operator B is the Hermitian adjoint of operator A. This operator B is known as Hermitian adjoint of an operator A. So this is the definition of a Hermitian adjoint of operator, right? So you please remember, once again I'm saying, when you have an operator A is an ordinary operator if it is not Hermitian operator. So in this case, you cannot write scalar product of psi m with A psi n is equal to scalar product of A psi m with psi n. But there could be another operator B such that if you write the psi m with B psi n, if you associate B operator with psi n, here I have associated operator A with psi n, Here you have an association of operator B with sign. In that case, this product is giving you the value of scalar product of A psi m with psi m. So if you get the same value, right, then you you will have this operator B. This operator B is nothing but Hermitian adjoint of operator A. And now suppose if A, which we have considered, is itself a Hermitian, suppose, then you have a psi of A psi n is equal to A psi of n. This is the definition. So you see this equation number 3 and 4. The left hand, I'm sorry, excuse me, the right hand side is equal if A is Hermitian. If A is Hermitian, then the right hand side of equation 3, equation 4 are same. Then one can say that operator A is nothing but operator B. So this equation is said that, so we can say now A is the Hermitian. So we can say the Hermitian adjoint of operator A, if A is Hermitian, if A is Hermitian, then the Hermitian adjoint of operator A is the operator A itself, because we get B equal to A. So please remember, if A is the Hermitian operator, then the Hermitian adjoint of operator A is the operator A itself. So we may write that the Hermitian operator is a self-adjoint operator. This is a very important property of the Hermitian operator, that Hermitian operator is a self-adjoint. So if it is a self-adjoint, then we can have a notation for it. So the Hermitian adjoint of an operator A, please remember the Hermitian of adjoint of operator A is written by A with, you see the I write a subscript as a dagger. So you may read as A dagger. So when I write down A dagger, so A dagger in quantum mechanics represent Hermitian adjoint of an operator A. And when it is a self-adjoint, then you can write down A dagger is equal to A, if it is a self-adjoint. So please remember that the Hermitian adjoint on operator A is the operator itself. The Hermitian operator is a self-adjoint operator. So if you take A dagger and is equal to A, we have the condition of self-adjoint operator. And once you know these two important property of the self-adjoint operator and the Hermitian operators, the first important property which we want to establish today is that the eigenvalues of the Hermitian operators are real. So let us derive this theorem. So it is very simple to derive this theorem. So let us understand first of all that and if you want to study the eigenvalues equation, you have to write down the eigenvalue equations. So consider first of all a Hermitian operator, let us say capital A, and we write down its eigenvalue equation. So whenever you write down the eigenvalue equation, so I can write down A operating on the eigenfunction psi m is giving you some constant am into psi m. So here, if you want to interpret this equation, we can say that psi m is the eigenfunction of an operator A corresponding to the eigenvalue am. Once again, I am repeating, psi m is the eigenfunction of an operator A corresponding to the eigenvalue or belonging to the eigenvalue am. Now, so if this is the equation which I am writing, A psi m is equal to am psi m. So this equation is known as the eigenvalue equation for operator A. And now I am taking the inner product with psi m, inner product with scalar product. So I am taking the inner product with this both the sides. So I am taking, you see, this inner product means I am writing in bracket notation. So you see A psi m. So I am taking with psi m. So you see, I put opening parenthesis. I write down the psi m. Then I put the these combined unit A psi m. So this is I'm taking a scalar product with A psi m. So if I'm taking a scalar product with A psi m, so I'm taking A psi m with psi m. And here also you see this am is a number, is constant. So you take it outside and you take a psi m with a psi m. So this is a scalar product of an eigenfunction psi m with a psi m. And you know that these eigenfunctions are normalized eigenfunctions. So this will give you the scalar product of psi with psi m. And you see here, I mention here, this term you can see, this is giving you psi m with psi m. So if you apply the formula, so that is nothing but integration of psi m star psi m dx. And this is nothing but mode of psi m square. And you know the norm of the wave function is 1 because it is a normalized wave function. If it is a normalized wave function, then the norm, this is giving you the norm. And so if it is 1, then you can write down nothing but it is simply the eigenvalue of am, which we have mentioned here. So let us write down, this is equation number 5. So I write down, this is equation number 5. Now I want to prove that this is real. So let us go for that. Now you know this A is the Hermitian, and if A is the Hermitian, then this scalar product psi m A psi m can be written as A psi m with psi m. This you know, because here you are associating with second wave, second factor, and here you are associating with the first factor if A is the Hermitian. So I can write down psi m A psi m is nothing but A psi m psi m. So now let us use this equation. You please remember this equation. And now I proceed with using this equation. So now if you go to the next page of, let's see, the same equation which I write down psi m A psi m psi m A psi m. This is A psi m psi m. So you see I write down A here. And now I write down this scalar product of A psi m with psi m in the integral form. So this is the first factor. You have to take the complex conjugate of the first factor. So I take a complex conjugate of the first factor, A psi m star psi m dx. This I am writing here. Okay, fine. So let us study the next step. So you can see I'm writing the same factor here. The same factor is here. This is the same factor, left hand side. Now you see uh, operator A operating on SIAM. This is our eigenvalue equation, which you can see. A operating on SIAM is nothing but number AM into SIAM. So this product, this equation, I can write down nothing but it is AM SIAM star SIAM dx. The same equations here are there. You can see. So now this is simply a SIAM, and this is nothing but equal to A SIAM. And now you see, if you see, this is nothing but if you, AM SIAM complex conjugate of this, so it is AM star, right? SIAM star SIAM dx. And you see this factor, and this is the complex conjugate. This is AM star SIAM dx. Okay, and again this is simply the scalar product. You are taking the norm of this psi m square. This is basically, this is, sorry, mode of psi m square, and this is these equations I have mentioned here, you see, and this is the norm of the wave function, and it is a normalized wave function. If it is a normalized wave function, it is 1. So you can see that A psi m, this term, the value of this term, which we have computed in this form, and ultimately this value comes out to be AM star. And you know, psi m we have already calculated in the previous equation. Look at this, which we have calculated. Psi m is AM, and now we will have calculated A psi m equal to AM star. So let us rewrite this equation once again. So when I take a scalar product of psi m with A psi m, I get the scalar product equal to eigenvalue AM. But if the operator A is the Hermitian, so I can rewrite this. This is equal. So this is A psi m. This is the property of the Hermitian operator. So when I take A psi m, I get the scalar product equal to AM star. So these two, the left hand side is equal, because the left hand side of these two equations are equal, because A is Hermitian. If A is Hermitian, then this left hand side of this equation number 1 and left hand side of equation number 2 are always equal. So that proves that AM equal to AM star. That conditions prove that AM is equal to AM star. AM star is a complex conjugate of AM. So complex conjugate of AM is always AM, which is only possible when AM is real. Okay. Suppose if you have some number 3i, if you take its complex conjugate, it will be minus 3i. But if you have a number 3, so 3 star, if you take its complex conjugate, is equal to 3. So AM is equal to AM star, indicates that AM should be real. So friends, eigenvalues of the Hermitian operators plays a very important role in quantum mechanics, and we will study this physical significance of the Hermitian operators, and we will understand several aspects of quantum mechanics, and we will use this concept of real eigenvalues of the Hermitian operators. Right now we are formulating the quantum. We are giving the basically formulations. We are basically learning the grammar of quantum mechanics right now. So now we study now the next theorem of the quantum mechanics. Of this particular operator. Hermitian operator is the theorem number 2, which indicates that any two eigenfunctions, arbitrary eigenfunctions, of the Hermitian operator, not ordinary operator, Hermitian operators, that belonging to two different eigenvalues are orthogonal. So you see, once again, try to understand that you have two eigenfunctions, and both the eigenfunctions, right? They have to belong to the different eigenvalues. So let us understand. Suppose I have an eigenfunction psi m, and you have the eigenfunction psi n. These both the eigenfunctions are the eigenfunctions of the same operator. The operator is a Hermitian operator. So they both are the eigenfunction of the same operator, but they have a different eigenvalue. So I'm writing if psi m and psi n be the eigenfunctions of the Hermitian operator A, so they have a different eigenvalue. So the corresponding to the eigenvalues of AM. So when you have a psi m operator, the psi m operator, please excuse me, psi m eigenfunction. This eigenfunction is the eigenfunction of the operator A belonging to the eigenvalue AM. And psi n is the eigenfunction of an operator A belonging to the eigenvalue An. So you see the psi m, eigenfunction psi m, its corresponding eigenvalue is Am. Psi n, its corresponding eigenvalue is An. They both belong to the different eigenvalue. So if they both belong to the different eigenvalue, we can write down our equations, this equation in this form. A operating on psi m is equal to Am psi m. This is the eigenvalue of eigenfunction psi m. And you have got another eigenfunction. So you have got another eigenvalue equation. A operating on psi m is equal to An psi, where An is the eigenvalue corresponding to the eigenfunction psi. And now let us first understand the this theorem, that they are orthogonal to each other. I take a scalar product of eigenfunction psi n with A psi m. Please remember, your operator A is the Hermitian operator. It's not an ordinary operator. So I am taking this term. I am taking the scalar product of psi n with A psi m. So when I take the scalar product, this notation is converted into the integral form. So I take a psi n star. So you have a psi n star A psi m dx. And now A psi m is simply written as Am psi m. So I know that this combined unit A psi m is an eigenvalue equation. So I wrote A psi m here equal to Am psi m. So look at this equation. Again you have a psi star remain as it is. A psi m is replaced by Am psi m. So I write down Am psi m dx. Am is a number. So you can take this number outside. So I'm taking this number am outside. So inside this the integrand is now psi n star psi m star. So you see psi n star psi m. The integration, the integrand is this is psi, this is n. So it is a psi n star and you have a psi m. So it is a psi m. So you can see it simply, it is am is the eigenvalue. You take it outside and it is nothing but a scalar product of psi n with psi m. So I write down scalar product with psi n psi m. So in general, you can see this equation, the same equation. This left hand side is psi n a psi m. So this is the left hand side, and the right hand side which we have obtained am psi n psi m. Fine. Now once you know the equation number 7, once you know the equation number 8, now let us go for uh, the property of the Hermitian operator. As A is the Hermitian operator, you know, we can write down this as psi n A psi m. This scalar product is nothing but A sin psi m, because A is the Hermitian operator and we know the property of Hermitian operator definition also. Sin A psi m. So this scalar product can be referred as A sin psi m. So I write down A sin psi m. And you know this is nothing but A sin psi m is not the same, because this is the left hand side and it is equal to always am. So I write down an sin psi. So I write down. Now let us see this term, because you see the left hand side. The left hand side of this equation is a psi n psi m. So I am keeping here a psi n psi m. Look at this term. This is the scalar product. This scalar product is right in the integral form. A sin, so A sin star. Then you have a psi, it is the psi of m dx. Now you know the equation of eigenvalue equation A sin. So this is your this A sin. Look at this A sin. A sin is an sin. So I write down here an sin here. A sin is an sin, and now you take its complex conjugate, because A sin is an sin, and this is complex conjugate of an sin. So complex conjugate of the product of an sin is an star sin star, and this sin dx is remaining as it is. And this an star is you can take it outside the integration side. So I'm taking outside the integration side, and this is nothing but sin integration of sin star dx, and this is simply your an star, right? An star, and this is basically a scalar product of sin with sin. So this is a scalar product of sin with sin, so it is sin. And you know that A is the Hermitian operator, and before few minutes we have studied that the eigenvalue of the Hermitian operators are always real. So an star is always an, because we have studied this. Eigenvalues are always real. So an star can be written as an. So I write down an. So this is an, and the scalar product is sin and sin. So you see, look at this equation number 8. So the equation number 8, the left hand side is what? Sin A sin, right? And here, you know, the other side is A sin sin. Both the sides are equal. Please remember the sin A sin, which we have calculated, equal to am sin sin. This we have calculated, and this is replaced by A sin sin, which we have calculated equal to an sin m. So using this equation number 8 and the equation number 9, the left hand side is same. Equation number 8, the left hand side is, and equation number 9, the left hand side is same. So right hand side of equation number 8 and equation number 9 should be equal. The right hand side of equation number 8 is am sin m. So I'm write down here, and the 9, the left hand side is, you see, an sin m. The left hand side of, I'm sorry, excuse me, the right hand side of equation number 8, am, you see, this I'm writing am sin m, and that we can write down here, this is am sin m, and this is equal to am, and here you can see the scalar product of sin with sin. So please remember, once you compare these two, equation number 8 and 9, you can write an, and the scalar product of sin with sin, right, is equal to am scalar product of sin with sin. This is very, you have to understand this part, right? Because and you know, when you write down the equation number, this equation number, using equation number 8 and 9, this particular scalar product sin and sin on the left hand side, and you see that is a scalar product on the right hand side is also the same scalar product, sin with sin. So I may recombine these two terms, and I may write down an minus am, and it is a scalar product of sin equal to 0. Now you know that an and am are totally different, because you've got two eigenfunctions corresponding to two different eigenvalues. So an is not equal to am. So an minus am cannot be 0. So definitely, to justify this equation, the scalar product of sin with sin should be equal to 0. So if scalar product of two eigenfunction is 0, then definitely these two eigenfunctions are always orthogonal to each other. Like this is, we have defined in our first lecture, the definition of an orthogonality, that if you have a two eigenfunction, two arbitrary eigenfunctions, and if the scalar product of the two eigenfunction is 0, this indicates that they are perpendicular to each other. I mean, they are orthogonal to each other, I would say. And if it is normalized, then it is known as orthonormal. This is the term which we use. Orthonormal means orthogonal and normalized. So they are known as orthonormal wave functions. So this term which we will also use it. And now once you know this property of the Hermitian operator, let us take one problem, and this problem will help you to understand the concept of Hermitian operator. So look at this example, and we want to prove that the operator I d by dx is Hermitian. So this we would like to prove. So let us see, this is a problem in given your textbook. So first I take this problem. So if operator A is a Hermitian operator, then the scalar product of psi with A psi n should be always equal to the scalar product of A psi with psi. This is known to you now. Now our operator is nothing but I d by dx. So this operator A is replaced by now I d by dx. We want to prove that this is your Hermitian operator. So I write down psi m and A is replaced by our operator which we would like to test. So this is I d by dx psi n, and here operator we want to prove this condition. If it is a Hermitian operator, then the left hand side should be equal to I d by dx psi m psi n. You should get this. So let us take the left hand side of this equation. So the left hand side of this equation is a scalar product of psi m with I d by dx operating on psi n. So look at this equation which I wrote here, and now you write down this equation in the integral form. So when you write the integral form, the definition of a scalar product, so you have to take the complex conjugate of psi m. So I write down psi m star, and this is the entire unit. I'm writing I d by dx. I just put in parenthesis to show you that this is an operator, and psi n, this is psi n dx. You see this is dx. Okay. Now we want to solve this integration. So we can use the integration by parts. So we have the law for integration by part which people have frequently used. Suppose there are two functions u of x, v of x, and you want to differentiate the product of these two functions. Here we have a two eigenfunctions psi m star, and this is your u of x, and this is your v of x, let's say. So here if you have a function u of x, v of x, what is the rule says that you take u, right, integration of v dx, and apply the limit from minus infinite to plus infinite, and then minus, you take a differentiation of u with respect to x, du by dx. You take an integration of v dx, and you take integrate with respect to dx. This is the law which you people know. This law we have used many times, so you are familiar. So now using this law, so now you see our psi m star is our function u, that is u of x, and v is your I by d by dx, psi n. Right? This is the entire v. I d by dx, this is the operator, but it is operating on the operand psi n. So your v is I d by dx operating on psi n. So this I know, so you keep u outside. So your u, that is a psi m star, so I'm keeping psi m star. Then integration, so I have an integration. V dx, so our v is this. I d by dx operating on psi n. So I d by dx operating on psi n with respect to dx. And you have to put the limit from minus infinite to plus infinite. So I put the minus infinite to plus infinite. Okay. Then I put a minus sign. So there is a minus sign. So the same minus sign I'm keeping here. Then you have an integration. So I have an integration. Of course, it is from minus infinite to plus infinite. Then you differentiate your function u with respect to x. Our u is psi m star. So I have a d by dx operating on the complex conjugate of psi m, that is psi m star. Then you have an integration of v dx. So I have an integration. V means this I d by dx. So I write I d by dx operating on psi. V is basically the entire unit I d by dx operating on psi. This is the only operator. The operator without operand is no meaning. So you have to take v as I d by dx of sine. So this is I d by dx of sine dx, and you have to differentiate with respect to x. So this is the law which we have applied. You know, this is nothing but d sine by dx So this is differentiation, integrations cancel each other. So you have got a psi star psi n, right? This is already psi. I is a number, I is some complex number. So you take it outside, you see it basically. And this integration is nothing but a product of psi star psi n changing from minus infinite to plus infinite. Look at the second term. I have a minus sign, so I'm keeping minus sign. This I am taking outside, so I'm taking outside. You have a d by dx of sine star, so this is d by dx of sine I'm keeping here. And this is simply, you know, this d by this is this you will get d sine is basically this is giving you a sine term, right? Right? And because this is the differentiation and this is the integrations, so you will have the term here, and this gives you sin and dx. Now look at the first term here. uh, you have your wave function, and you know the wave functions are normalized wave functions are there. And you see that wave function at infinity is always zero. So if you take the upper limit and lower limit, your wave functions psi and sin are zero at the end points. Because if you take the upper limit, this is nothing but psi star infinite, sin infinite minus sin infinite sin minus it will be you take the wave function at plus infinity, when you take a wave function at minus infinity. And you know wave functions are always finite if it is a finite wave functions and single valued sorry finite as well as continuous wave functions are there. So the first term is vanishing, and now the second term will represent. So your left hand side is this. So this is replaced by the right hand side. So I'm taking this right hand side. This is the left hand side is nothing but psi m a psi n. You see psi m a psi n. And now I arrange a mathematical. You see, I can apply the trick because the complex conjugate of I is minus I. So I can combine this unit I d by dx of psi m, and it is a complex conjugate because ultimately this will give you I star, and I star will give you minus I. So this minus I is combined with this unit d by dx operating on psi m star. So this is complete complex conjugate of this, and this is giving you sin dx. And you see I d by dx is your operator A. So it is A operating on sin star sin dx. And finally you see what you have proved, that the scalar product of sin with A psi n is simply a scalar product of A sin with sin. And if this left hand side is equal to the right hand side, your operator A is a Hermitian operator. So your operator A is your Hermitian operator. So I think next lecture we will take various problem of the Hermitian operator, and we will see uh, uh, the operators, and we will find out itself a joint property, and we will check whether the operators are Hermitian operators or not Hermitian operators. So I think today I will stop here, and the next lecture we will take only problems related to the Hermitian operator. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.